Even the concept of that sounds terrible, frightening. We throw away more work than most people ever create. We should do our next call in my Darth Vader mask. Have you ever gone and made a meal for yourself and ate it and then gone back to sleep without noticing? Like, what? No.
That's not where this conversation was going, Evan.
I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh, I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh.
How is that? Any better?
Oh, wow, that is voice of God in my ears there. Let's turn, we got a turn test down.
Turn test down. You know how many people would wish they could turn test down? God,
I just did.
That's going on my gravestone.
We just
finally managed to turn test down.
Yeah, we just need to have her on a Zoom call.
Yeah, right.
So, okay, well, let's go. Here we go. So this will be an interesting episode. One, I don't remember, like I didn't have any homework from last time, which is weird because looking through my notes.
You were working on setting boundaries, and you were working on your Just Woke Up challenge, which I see you have succeeded at, and I suspect it's no longer a challenge.
It's still fun. People are joining me on it.
Yeah. You know,
I'm posting
That's
some
good.
of them, although not everybody gets reposted on my account. You have to look brutal. Like, people are doing it half an hour after they wake up and they're all happy.
Yeah, I saw that. There was some cheating going on there. I saw that.
You know, it's like, perfect hair.
Yeah.
Like, come on. You didn't just wake up. We gotta see. Unless you look like garbage, I'm not posting it.
Exactly right. I've been up 6 hours to look like this. But I did say I did it for a few days, and for me it wasn't a challenge, so I stopped doing it. I thought there's no point doing it. It's not hard, so I'm not doing it. It's not hard. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I kept it up.
Setting boundaries though.
Okay, so I'm channeling Dr. Tess today. Let me tell you a quick story, then we can get into whatever we're going to do.
Yeah, because I need to pick on something. I need to pick at something with you, but you go first.
Oh, okay, good.
I have an agenda.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay, quick. So I'll go quick then. So I haven't slept properly in 3 days.
That was my agenda.
Okay, great. And for things that are all short term, like, it happens, right? Like, I had my sleep study, then I had to wake up early to take Nina to the airport, and I could have let her take an Uber, but I wanted to take her to the airport. And then last night we're preparing a massive launch on my YouTube channel, and I need to get stuff done. So anyway, 3 days of very poor sleep, and after 3 days, now I'm starting to feel it. And so I wanted to preempt Dr. Tess because I felt like something was coming today. And so I channeled Dr. Tess, and I went and I got myself a nice drink. So I got some Baileys on the rocks here.
That's how you channel me? You get alcohol? Oh my God, Evan, what am I teaching you?
That's how I channeled. I felt that was just the right thing. Like, what would Dr. Tess do? And I feel like this is... I feel like she won't be joining me at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, but you never know. And so,
if there was a Negroni on offer, I could be tempted. But with this view and a Negroni, I don't care what the time is. But
so this is channeling some self-love. I don't remember the last time I had a drink, to be honest. It's channeling some self-love and preempting Dr. Tess with her agenda. So now I'm ready to go.
Well, I have a bunch of mentoring clients. One in particular was the ringleader here, who they've created a hashtag, Smacked by Tess. So they know when they're in trouble with me because they know that they've not done the thing they need to do, and it will no doubt end in the hashtag Smacked by Tess.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be watching this and thinking, oh my God, Evan just got smacked by Tess. Because I'm worried about your self-care.
Well, this is it. This is self-care right here.
No, that's self-indulgence. I'm happy with self-indulgence. Yes, that's a form of self-care. Let's just take a little moment to say that we are not advocating alcohol to solve your
Well, no,
problems.
this isn't weed. This is Dr. Tess, not.
I do not advocate, and truth be told, I don't drink very much, but when I do, I enjoy it. So, and that's not to say I binge either. I do not binge drink either. Self-care. So your sleep is obviously a problem because you were having a sleep study done this week, and you and I had a little bit of private chit chat, which ended with me wanting to swear at you.
Nice. Wow. All right.
Yeah, I know. You really triggered me, man. Sleep is one of those things that we can actually do some things about. Like, we can actually do some psychological things to make sure that what's happening with your sleep is actually, you're primed, and your brain knows that the next step in the process is sleep. So people talk about sleep hygiene, and that's really, sleep hygiene is about a number of things that work for you to get your brain ready for sleep. So did they talk to you about this at all when you did the study, or when you were approaching going to the study?
So we didn't, I mean, even you and I, we didn't dive into the reason for the sleep study. I sleep 8.5 hours a night.
Yep.
But I'll still wake up tired.
Yeah, right.
And they said that that's not normal. So in terms of my like regular routine self-care kind of stuff, we'll start winding down the evening after dinner, and then like take Nina, go for a walk with the dogs and watch a show together, and all usual stuff to wind down and get ready for sleep. So usually by 11 o'clock I'm in bed, and then 7:30 I wake up. If I get my 8.5, I'm ready to go for the day, but I'm still, I mean, you see me in the morning, I'm tired in the morning, and they said that that's not normal. If I'm getting less, a 1 or 2 day, I can handle it and just get through it, and it's the best. Let's go. I'll deal with it. But if it's like this, like 3 days in a row, then it's like today, I'm not going to do anything else today, right? So I'm having my drink. I'm talking to Dr. Tess, hitting New York, but it's just, I need to make sure I'm in bed. Maybe I'll sleep 10 hours. I don't know. So my family physician was concerned that, okay, that if you're in bed for 8.5 hours, normally people are coming and saying, like they're sleeping 5 or 6, and then they start crashing out. If I was sleeping 5 or 6 every day, I would like pass out and die. So I get my 8.5, but so they said you should do a sleep study. So they organize it. They don't have a guess, I guess. I mean, sleep apnea is one possible thing, but I don't fit a lot of the criteria for sleep apnea. It's usually medical history, overweight, a bunch of other things, and I'm like, nope. And I also don't follow. There's a whole bunch of these checklists. It was hilarious. These checklists you go through, like, do you fall asleep during the day? Like, no. Do you fall asleep, while you're eating lunch? You're like, what? No. Like, how am I falling asleep while I'm eating lunch? How often do you nap? Like, 0. I don't nap. But part of it is also because I am sleeping 8.5 hours a night, right? As part of my regular routine. And they made me fill out this depression test, which was amazing. This must be normal. It's like a psych evaluation depression test.
Yeah.
I wish I took the name, because you probably know who it is, at least the type of test. But the worst, the best score you can get is 0, but there's no positive on the test. It's like, so it was like, one of the questions would be how much.
But you wanted to win.
No. I mean, there were 4 possible answers, and so like one question might be like, how much do you hate yourself? And then it's like, not at all, not a lot, sometimes, or all the time, right? And so okay, so not at all, but where's the like, I love myself? Where's that? Like, that's not even. And so there are 20 questions or something on there, and they're all that kind of format. Like, man, people are really down on life. Like if they have to
Yeah.
give out this survey.
Yep. Yep.
So I went straight zeros across the board.
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah.
feeling like there was a couple times I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then on the sleep side, similar questions of like, how often do you get up in the middle of the night and sleepwalk? Like 0. Have you ever gone and made a meal for yourself and ate it and then gone back to sleep without noticing? Like, what? No.
There are some really interesting sleep disorders, and obviously they're looking for, they're ruling out any mental health concerns as well, because one of the things that, depression affects multiple systems. And so sleep, appetite, weight, there are many, many things that can be affected by depression. And so one of the things they want to rule out is depression.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Just those questions were, I don't know. They were crazy.
Yeah, confronting, right? Yeah, confronting. Yeah. But that's depression. Yeah, that's what depression looks like. That can be really. That's why it's so scary for people. Yeah. Especially if it comes out of the blue. So my question for you was about. Okay, so sleep hygiene. Sounds like you've got a good sleep routine, because you have a routine that you follow most nights, and you wind down at a certain time, and you get that last little bit of exercise. You go to bed at a regular time. You get up at a regular time. And they're kind of like the really basic level sleep hygiene questions. Beyond that, you're looking at what else are you doing, like, caffeine, alcohol, any kind of stimulants, even, nicotine. I know you don't smoke, but, all those sorts of questions you'd then be asking, and looking for any root causes of overstimulation before sleep. Some people will say, I do all the things, it's all really good, I come and still I'm not sleeping. And it turns out they're in bed with their phone, wondering why they're not asleep, or they're in bed with their TV on, wondering why they're not asleep.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you've got the basics covered with your sleep hygiene. But it'd be interesting to see if they come back and say, do sleep apnea, because you don't fit the profile. But it's one of the key things is that waking up still feeling tired after what looks like a decent night's sleep.
Yeah, that's a concern. And then also things like I don't wake up with I don't have loud snoring. I don't wake up not being able to breathe. People wake up and they can't breathe. I've never had that. Yeah, I mean, I don't drink caffeine past 2:00 at night. In the afternoon. We don't have phones, or there's no TV in the bedroom at all.
Doing all the right things then.
Yeah. It's just what's it's not debilitating that I can't live with it. It just means I need to get 8.5 hours sleep. But hey, if I can get 7, that gives me an hour and a half a day to go out and change the world, right? So
yeah, right. Have you experimented with going to bed earlier? Has that made any difference? Because I'm a 10-hour a night person. If I get 10 hours, I feel like I'm amazing. But I rarely get 10 hours. But that's like my natural inclination is 10 hours sleep.
Naturally, I don't want to go to bed earlier. I don't know. I've never tried going to bed at like 9:00. That even the concept of that sounds terrible, frightening.
It's not that scary. I guess. Okay. Well, I guess all you can do is wait for the results. What about when you go to bed? Is there stress on your mind? Are you worrying about things? Are you thinking about things? Does it take you long to fall asleep? Or do you fall asleep really easily?
No, it can take me some time to get to sleep. I used to get restless legs a lot, so my legs would get jumpy. But I started taking magnesium at night. And that doesn't help me fall asleep faster, but it doesn't. If I would be in bed for more than 20 minutes and didn't fall asleep, my legs would get jumpy, and then I would have to get up. Most of the time, I'm not thinking of anything. It's not like tossing and turning, stressing out about my call tomorrow with Dr. Tess.
It's so scary.
Right?
No.
But sometimes that happens. Honestly, my quickest solution out of that is if I'm stressing out about something, or just worried about something the next day, I'll get up, I'll play a game of League of Legends, and then I'll pass out after. because I'm so, and that's a computer game. Like I'm so into the game that then I forget about whatever I was thinking about. But then when the game is done, like, okay, it's done now. Like I'm not stressing about the game after, because it's just a game. But that doesn't happen. I don't know when the last time that happened.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Did they give you an indication of when they'll have some results for you?
What day is it today? October. So mid-November, I'm supposed to meet the.
Couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they hook you up to 1,000 different machines and electrodes, and like 2 separate machines that go into your nose. Like, I don't know how people sleep with all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I sleep with a sleep mask. That helps. I just got the chili pad. That thing is amazing. Oh my God,
really?
the chili pad. Yeah. Have you seen the chili pad?
I saw your video with the chili pad.
Oh yeah, the chili pad's great. I love the chili pad.
Yeah, see, I can't sleep if my feet are cold. So it's interesting, isn't it? You know, you talk about body systems, and I know that a lot of people sleep when you overheat, it affects your sleep. And so that's obviously the rationale behind the chili pad. I'm the opposite end of the spectrum again. You know, so if I'm not warm enough, I won't sleep. And so if my feet are cold, like I'll often sleep, especially in winter, I often sleep with, you know, socks or slippers on just to keep my feet warm enough. So it's so romantic. So, you know, so then, you know, I've got them on now. So that, you know, I can actually fall asleep. So I'm comfortable enough to fall asleep. So body temperature and body temperature regulation at night is a really interesting area of study as well, in terms of what maybe that's partly what's going on too. Who knows? I'll have some answers for you in time, but
it could be. I mean, I like a colder room. There's a bunch of studies that show you sleep better when it's colder.
You do.
Nina doesn't enjoy it. So for a while we tried separate blankets, which actually worked out. It worked out pretty well. I used my son's blanket. It's like this superhero Spider-Man blanket, which is lighter. That was great. But it bothered me because making the bed the bed never got made. I make the bed in the morning. It was never made because there's 2 different blankets and they only fit half the bed. It's like, I didn't like looking at my unmade bed. Give me OCD.
Such a perfectionist.
OCD on the unmade bed. I like it to be tidy. I like it tidy. I like a tidy environment. So we went back to the 1 blanket system, but then it got too hot for me and too cold for Nina. So anyway, tried the chili pad. It works.
Okay.
I mean, always looking at those kind of sleep hacks, but for whatever reason, I'll be in bed for 8.5 hours and still be tired in the morning. So
yeah. And so that's, you know, and you've done the right thing, because sleep hacks only go so far. If you're getting the sleep and you're not refreshed in the morning, then something else is going on. It's investigating, and that's what you've done. So it's a good thing. All right, setting boundaries. We were talking last time about setting boundaries, and you were going to think about that. You're going to think about your desire to over-deliver, which is great. There's nothing wrong with having that as your motivating force. But there's a point when it becomes, you know, unrelenting standards and counterproductive. So we were talking about, you know, thinking about how in the future, when you're trying to achieve things and you're stopping what you're doing to help somebody who might have inserted themselves in your time, whether you're in public or whatever. Did you give that any thought? Did you try anything different? Or did you forget all about it?
No, so I 2 weekends ago, I forget now, I was in Phoenix and I was speaking. I was the closing speaker at Brendan Burchard and Dean Graziosi's event. I don't know if you know those 2 guys, but
I know the names.
Eric Thomas was the opening speaker, and then Brendan and Dean were talking. Then I was the last guy to speak, and I was super nervous. It was the most nervous I've been speaking in a long time. One, because, you know, Brendan and Dean have a long history in the industry, and I've never done anything with them. And then being the closing kind of speaker there. Plus, Brendan, it was the first time I actually met him face to face. He was doing an interview backstage, and he said, I'm going to finish this interview so that I want to make sure I come and watch your speech, which is extra nerves because now it's like, oh my God, Brendan Burchard's going to sit down and watch. Usually people backstage, you're not watching each other's speeches. You're all hanging out and then it's your turn to go up, right? So extra nerves. And there was a moment backstage. So how I usually prepare for stuff, I'll prepare and think of what I'm going to talk about up until the actual event. But then day of, all I think about is how I'm going to start. I just have to remember, okay, this is how I'm going to start. And then I just trust everything will take over. I had a moment like 10 minutes before I went live. I'm backstage, walking around and like, oh my God, how do I start? I forgot how I'm going to start. What do I say? What do I say? How do I start? What's the starting point? I totally forgot what I'm supposed to say. And I'm like having this panic attack moment. And then something great happens. I just talked to myself, which I don't know if I've ever done or just haven't done it in a long time that I don't remember. Like, what are you doing? You're Evan Carmichael. Come on, let's go. Like that. And like, yeah, that's right, I am. And then I went out and crushed it. And what was interesting about that was I was supposed to, when I landed on the first day, I was supposed to speak on the second day, but then last minute they wanted me to come and speak on the first day. So I basically just got to my hotel room and the hotel phone rings and they call me down and say, hey, Evan, can you speak right now? And I'm in the middle of practicing. I'm like, yep, of course I can come speak right now. Yeah. And so like run downstairs, get there. There's still time to decide, do we want him to speak now? Do we want to save it for the end tomorrow? What do we want to do? It's like, come on, just make a decision. Let me know. Like, tap me in. Come on, I'm ready. And then they decide, no, we keep to the original plan. Like, oh, okay, fine. Okay. So go back upstairs, practice, and then come down again the next day and do it. But just the moment of doubt and the feeling of nerves and pressure of, it's still a fear of disappointing, right? Like not just the people who are out in the audience, but these are all people who paid like 5 figures over the year with these guys. So they're not just free public workshop kind of thing, right? These are important people to them. And honestly, grand scheme of things, if I go up and tank, it doesn't matter. They still had a great, 4-day event or whatever it was. But still, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let Dean and Brendan down. And so the moment of like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. I'm panicking. Like, not quite a panic attack, but like close, right? So anyway, I don't think I told you that story because that happened in between.
No.
Anyway, that came to mind as you were talking. I guess it's not really boundaries related, but
well, it is. You set a boundary with yourself, and that's something that we often struggle to do, is to say, hang on a minute, this isn't serving me. I need to stop what I'm doing right now and just focus on me and what my needs are right this minute in time, and focus on what serves me and not the other stuff. Whether it's someone else's other stuff or your own other stuff doesn't actually matter. You still need to be skilled at dealing with those boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything ends up being self-imposed.
It's about making decisions and being present and conscious. So being conscious of what's going on around you and conscious of what's going on in here as well, and then making conscious decisions around what next, what you're going to allow to happen next, or what you choose to have happen next. A lot of times we go through life on autopilot and we wonder why, things didn't go the way we wanted them to, or we wonder why we're not happy with certain circumstances. And it's because we're going through blindly. We're not stopping every now and then, go, hang on a minute, I'm not enjoying this. Why am I doing this? Or this isn't working out for me. Why am I still persisting with this?
So let me ask you this. So I was in California last week, met with one of the few guys who, if they gave me advice on YouTube, I would listen to them. And his advice was split up my channels even more in terms of having the top 10 series on its own channel, not on the main channel. And he said, I have 2 ideas for you. One, either split up your channels even more, or the idea you're going to like better is to put everything back on your main channel like you had it before. And this is the guy who told me to split it up originally. I said, well, which one's going to work better? do you think? And he said, well, splitting it up is a ton more work, but it'll work better. It's like, well, I'm not afraid of work, so let's go do that. And we set an aggressive timeline of having, within the next month, having everything moved over, which is scary because I've been doing that channel for like so many years. But then I come home and we set a 1 month timeline, and like, this has to happen next weekend. It's like, I'm not waiting a month.
Why am I not surprised?
Right? Like, what are we doing here? It's such a and this is part of why I was up late last night, is because we're launching this tomorrow, and it's not going to be fully ready, and requires like new team members, and it requires people taking on new roles, and on top of it, I decided to have a rebranding with new colors. Just total chaos, right? But I mean, I love it. Because the idea, like self-care, the idea of waiting, and not waiting, but like another 3 weeks until this, that would destroy me. Like, I feel like I would go mental. That would be, give me back that depression test, and I'd be like scaling out the
Okay, so what would it be like though if you had given that task to somebody else and given them the 1 month deadline, and then put it out of your mind because it would be done in a month and it would be done successfully and to a good standard, and then you free yourself up to do the other things that you're wanting to achieve at the moment? Because I'm sure 1 month here or there won't make that much difference to the channel, but 1 month's time of free time on your hands to do other things, not free time, but like freeing time up, not thinking about that task. I mean, there's just a week. Seriously, you're gonna burn your team out. You can't do that to them. Have they given you any pushback?
I'm very blessed to have an amazing team.
You do have an amazing team.
I was talking about one of my guys, Ray, who's been doing all of my old split testing, all my old thumbnails to fix all my old thumbnails, and so he's going back and we're talking about 5,000-6,000 thumbnails, right? This is not some tiny little project, right?
Yeah.
And I insist that each one has to have statistical significance. So this is not just like throw a thumbnail up. And so we're making significant progress through it. Yeah. And now I decided to change the branding, which means different colors, which means everything he did has to be redone and then get through all 6,000 again. And he's like, when can we start? And like, I love this guy. We throw away more work than most people ever create, right? I mean,
yeah. Though, a friend of mine, he's actually a musician, but he's also, does web design and all sorts of stuff. And he was saying something really wise the other day. Shout out to David Fuller. He was saying something really wise the other day about writing code. So people who build websites and all this sort of stuff, and when they're writing code, they expect it to fail. And so he was talking about failure. He was talking about failure culture, if you like, and how, you write code, you test it, it fails, you decide what your next point is. It's like you've got these decision junction points all the way along. And, so with code writing and testing things and having them fail, that's guiding you where to go next. And I think that's the same thing with what you're doing, is that it's not wasted time. There's still skills that are being learned. There's still knowledge that's been gained from what your audience prefers, whether you now change your brand. I mean, that it will inform what you do with the new brand colors. You're not going to ignore what you've learned. You've still learned that knowledge.
Yeah, for 100%. I'm just grateful that my team feels the same way.
They're not coming at you with pitchforks.
Yeah, because well, here's the thing about like, why not wait a month? When I pick what I want to work on, I'm obsessed, and like that thing has to happen. Yeah. Meanwhile, all the other stuff, whatever,
Yeah.
I either like
Yeah.
care like massively, or I don't care at all.
Or not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the project is too important for me not to be like, I just care too much about it and this thing has to happen, and I can't wait 3 weeks for this to happen, because it would like destroy my soul. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of other stuff that like,
You don't think that's a bit extreme?
no, but like I think
it would destroy my soul.
Yeah.
What is it? Voldemort? Horcrux?
It's how I legitimately feel. Like, just the idea of waiting or like giving it to somebody else, or and I'm delegating a bunch. Like Nina, holy cow, Nina's like stepped up huge to handle a ton of it. And everybody's ability again to deal with me and my crazy and what I just decide is the most important thing, even if rationally, logically, may not be the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel it is, therefore it is.
Well, that's right.
It's a benevolent dictatorship. At least I hope it's benevolent.
You think it's benevolent? We'll do a little survey. We'll ask everyone else what they think.
Right. Let's see. The idea of giving that up to then stick to our timeline and me focus on something else just feels like death. and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I feel like that's ultimate self-care.
Okay, well, there's plenty of writing about the impact of having unrelenting standards. So it depends on whether or not are you using this kind of stuff against yourself, or whether. So is it, is this stuff, does this energizes you? I know it. I know the answer to the question. Right? It energizes you, right? And it doesn't stop you from doing other things as well, and it doesn't stop you from progressing. You think about the stereotypical perfectionist who's stuck looking for the perfect, and so they don't start because they're too scared of it being imperfect, right? And that's like the dark side of the coin with unrelenting standards. So my only thing, I guess, with the sleep thing on one side of the fence and this, I say pressure, you say tomato, I don't know, but on the other side, tomato, whatever you want to call it.
You said the same thing twice. It's tomato. You just said tomato. That's the best. I love this so much.
I should have had that Negroni when you offered. My advice is to be watchful of any of that stuff that's actually eating away at the edges, like fraying around the edges of your because self-care is actually very important, and burnout prevention is actually very, very important. And entrepreneurs burn out all the time, and it can be insidious and it can sneak up on you. And I'm not saying that that's where you're heading, but you've already got one red flag, which is the sleep issue. So thinking about, if it's realistically going to take a month. Now, I'm not saying, we're just using this as an example, right? Whatever you're doing with this decision is up to you. But if it's realistic, if the realistic time frame for something is a month, and I'm saying stuff that I'm going to get this done in a week, and then everyone's pulling all-nighters to get this thing done, that's probably okay once. But if that's something that happens regularly or frequently, then being watchful, just how that's playing out on a global sense. I know you like to say macro versus micro, but so taking the macro view on a global sense, is it actually serving you? So it might serve you in the short term because it's so inspiring and motivating and all the rest of it, but on a bigger picture, how does this play out? How does this impact me? How does it impact my team? You've got an awesome team and they're right behind you every step of the way. But you also want to look after yourself. We've got a rainstorm coming.
Wow. Look at that.
We might get some lightning in a minute.
That came out of nowhere.
Nowhere, right? This is Melbourne.
That's why you got to go to Sydney, not Melbourne. Sydney's where it's at.
Oh, please don't put me in the middle of that fight. The Sydney Melbourne thing is I don't know what the equivalent. I guess it's a Toronto Vancouver thing. I don't know. Do you guys have that argument? No.
No, it's Toronto against Canada.
Against Canada.
Yeah, it's because Toronto is 10% of the country, and it's a giant country. Like Canada's huge geographically, and so even looking at our elections that just happened, the party that won only basically like West Coast, they won 0 seats. It's very regionally divided, the country. All the big cities outside of Toronto will look to Toronto and say, oh, those Torontonians, there's a little bit of disdain towards the Torontonians. But Toronto, for the most part, really don't even know the other cities exist. Like, it's not even a discussion, right? Okay. It's like Canada to the US. Like, Canada does so much trade with the US and #1 partners and customers. And the US is like, oh, is Canada like a state? Like, they don't think export for the most part, right? They're not involved. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, like, it would be the same if Sydney didn't even care about Melbourne. Like, Mel what?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're meant to be apartment hunting today, so I really don't want this rainstorm. Thanks. But anyway, hopefully it'll clear up. Melbourne, you get 4 seasons in one day. That's the reputation. So it'll probably be beautiful and sunny by the time we walk out the door. Okay. All right. What else?
I mean,
Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me about burnout prevention?
Yeah. So yes and no. I mean, I feel the care, and on a macro, I 100% agree. And I'll have short bursts of moments where I might go. I haven't done an all-nighter in I don't know how long, a long time, and definitely for the team, right? Like, that's why they stay with me, because even through this whole process, we're looking at it. Okay, we're expanding. We need to grow. We need to hire. What do you not like doing about your job, and how can I give that to somebody else who we're going to bring on?
Yeah.
Right. So even though we're going to be doing more work now to get stuff going, I want you doing more of the work that you like, and then giving the work that you don't like over to somebody else. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So using it as a chance to be able to both empower and inspire the team as well, and give them stuff that they enjoy doing. I don't agree with the sleep being a red flag. I don't see them as being connected, but maybe it is. Like, maybe that's actually the whole thing. Maybe it's a psychological thing that I'm
not so much that it's being caused by, but it is related to. So I'm not saying it's being caused by what's going on in your working life, but the fact that you've got an issue with sleep, that's just something, you've got to think about the whole of you. And if that's not working well, it's not going to necessarily support you to work as hard as you love to work. So thinking it in that terms, it's not sort of a one directional thing. It's sleep is a fundamental part of self-care. And if it's not working for whatever cause, if it's not working well, then we need to compensate in other areas to make sure that we are able to sustainably do what we love doing. So there's no point burning out. Nobody wins if we burn out.
So my solution has been sleep 8.5 hours a night. But if there's something wrong, like if there's a machine that I can just put on or something, or special mouth guard or whatever, then
some kind of Darth Vader mask.
Yeah, right. We should do our next call in my Darth Vader mask.
No, let's not.
I think that would crush. Yeah,
that would win so many things.
So like tomorrow I'm very hyper conscious over life and balance for me, for Nina, for the team, and sometimes we push it but it's not. I was telling Mark today on our podcast that, you know, you are what you consistently do. So tomorrow we're launching the channel. We may not have all the thumbnails ready to what I want, which means I might be doing thumbnails tomorrow. And Saturday is my day with Nina, typically, and we're in New York. But I might spend a quarter or half the day doing thumbnails if my team didn't get it ready to what I need for launch. And if I was doing that every week, then Nina and I wouldn't be together, right? I mean, I wouldn't have a wife. So
that's right.
It's not what happens in the one-off, it's what you consistently do. 3 nights of no sleep in a row, or when I say no, it's like, you know, well, maybe 2 hours the first night and then like 5 or 6 the next.
Yeah, not enough. Absolutely not enough for you. Yeah, it's not sustainable, and you know that, and that's, you know, that's.
But I don't.
That's
really
not a problem because you know that that's not that's not the ongoing issue. That's not the main.
It's not a consistent thing. Yeah. Right. There's a bunch of random things that happen all at the same time, which happens sometimes. And which is why it's self-care. Cheers, you know, day.
Yeah.
That's today.
It is. Yeah. You know, I drank Baileys on my wedding night, so I have very, very fond memories of Baileys. So enjoy that Baileys.
It's almost gone. I am.
Oh, there you go. You are.
I don't like the taste of alcohol for the most part, so it's easy not to drink.
Yeah. Oh, you'd hate a Negroni then. You can't have those.
I still have to have my Vegemite. I'm just going to do it by myself, Tess.
You know, you are not doing the Vegemite by yourself. It's forbidden. You're not allowed to.
You were supposed to come to Toronto. It didn't happen.
I will come to Toronto. You wouldn't have had time for me to teach you to have proper Vegemite. I will come to Toronto.
I would have done it.
You will come to Australia.
Sydney as a starting point.
I'll meet you in Sydney. I'll make you some Vegemite toast.
Wow, you're going to abandon Melbourne like that. It just happened, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't say I'd move to Sydney. I will meet you in Sydney. I'm all over Australia.
Wow, all right.
I'm everywhere.
The transplant. Just a transplant. No loyalties to Melbourne. You hear that, Melbourne?
I haven't even moved here yet. You're making me trash my relationship. So, yes, Vegemite toast, you can't do it by yourself. There is a golden rule with Vegemite, which is that if you're not Australian, don't try and go there by yourself. It's dangerous.
I like dangerous.
Yeah, no, it's the wrong kind of dangerous. Because you'll ruin your relationship with Vegemite. You will trash that relationship big time. You need like a gentle entry into that relationship.
So Ray, I don't know if you saw any of my live streams.
Yeah.
Ray was the guy wearing the backpack.
Yep.
And so he was sometimes in front of the camera too, most of the time behind the backpack. And he posted on Instagram. So we did our four days live together. And now we're going to go for 90 days in January.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So me, Nina, Ray, and Jeremy. And I've known Jeremy for longer. He has his YouTube business that I invested into and helped him. Ray just came up to my events, and I don't know him as well. Anyway, he posted on Instagram a video about, he did the wake up challenge, but he woke up late. And sometimes there's an issue with keeping on time for things. And so I teased him and wrote back, hey, you better not be late when we're on our 90-day tour. And he said, no, don't worry. I'm going to be on time. We'll make it happen. But then I met him yesterday at my workshop here in Toronto. And I told him, dude, like, if you are actually not getting up on time and late, like, that's going to change. Like, there's no way we can be together for 90 days all day long and you're like sleeping in and not getting your stuff done. Like, there's no way that's gonna happen. And so, you know, the gravitational pull in on things like that is super strong. The pull on other things, like Nina and both of the two guys love cooking. Actually, they love cooking more than Nina does. Nina's pumped that they might cook some of the food on the trip. I couldn't care less. Or like, I'll eat hot dogs all day. It doesn't matter to me. So I'll get pulled into healthier eating and just like fancier food and whatever. And I'm gonna pull them into being disciplined and like getting the work done and respecting yourself.
You're harsh.
No, but it's love, right? I mean, like, that's self-love, not just me, but like for them. I've always seen that as a strength and as a positive, in that like whatever I get obsessed with has to happen. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna make it happen. Even if it is stupid, I'm still gonna make it happen. Like, join me, awesome, or don't. Here we go. It's happening. And sometimes that's for me, and sometimes that's for someone else. Like if Ray really wanted to break that habit of procrastination, sleeping in, then I'm gonna do it. Like, he will be changed by the time we come out of this 90 days together.
Yeah.
For him, right? Not because I want it, but it's the best thing for him.
Yeah.
But I'll get obsessed with it. Like, that has to happen.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing daily meetings at 6 a.m. for the past few months, and it's completely changed. And another reason, it completely changed how I do my day. And like I said before, I love a good 10 hours sleep, and I'm happy. At the moment, I'm burning the candle a little at both ends. I'm going to bed a little bit too late and still getting up early for my meetings. And the woman I'm working with on this, she started this other thing where we're meeting at 5. So we're now meeting at 5 a.m. for the next 3 weeks, only for 3 weeks. I won't be doing that forever. But the whole getting up at 6, and now that it's day, it's summertime, we're heading into summer, it's springtime here. And so I actually had those meetings with her while I'm walking. So it's actually got me out of the house at 6 a.m. And again, that's that whole thing of you are what you do. And these are things that during winter time, I'd wanted to get up earlier. I'd wanted to go walking, but it's still pitch black dark. And I'm not going to go walking, a woman on my own, walking out alone in the dark. It just isn't going to happen. So maybe finding some way of engaging him in something in the morning that motivates him. Something with you. Maybe you need to get up earlier. Set the standard.
I don't even know. I'm not worried about the how. It's going to happen. But he's already committed to not slacking off. So it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's the singular focus. Like, if the person in front of me doesn't do the thing that they need to do to get to where they need to go, it's like, it's death to me. It really is. It's everything. Like, that has to happen. And because I believe in it so much, then they start to believe in it, and they do it. Yeah.
I guess so. There is that contagion effect. Some of the things that we talk about, and this is certainly something I play on with my mentoring clients. And I know that it's not very fair to them, because I have, before I was a psychologist, the story, before I was a psychologist, I was an actor. So being in front of a camera doesn't faze me in the least. And for my mentoring clients, so many of them, as with yours, one of the biggest challenges is to ask them to do a live stream video, because they can't control the outcome. They go live, it's warts and all, it is what it is, and it's out there. And sometimes I'll catch that wave of my enthusiasm for it, and my enthusiasm for why it's important for building your brand and all that sort of stuff. And sometimes it's actually a deeper challenge. And again, as a mentor, then that's my job then to look at that. But yeah, you've got that personality. You've got that personality that carries people, and you're a wave. Evan Carmichael, the wave. You lift people up and carry them forward. Not that kind of a wave. That kind of a wave.
Right, we're talking to a Sydney lover. I forgot. Right, ocean waves. Right. It's not how we default to think.
I spent some time growing up on the Gold Coast in Queensland, and I was a junior lifesaver, which is they're called nippers, and And my favourite thing as a teenager in my young teens was to swim out beyond the back break, so beyond the first round of waves that form on the beach, and float. And just float. And it never occurred to me that, you know, there might be things beneath me that might want to have a taste. I would just float. And it was the most amazing thing. But yeah, I did actually have an experience that put an end to that for me. Never mind.
Wow. You got attacked by a jellyfish or something?
Did. Well, what happened was I was in a carnival, surf carnival, and a race. And I was quite a strong swimmer, and we were racing, very long race around, they put markers out in the water and you've got to swim around them and then run back up the beach. And in the time that it took for them to set the markers in the water and for us to get out there, a swarm of jellyfish had nestled around the first marker. And I didn't get stung, but I was in the middle of the pack. Huge race. This was a huge national competition of every age level, so Ironman level, senior adult level, right through to the kids. So there were people everywhere. It was a massive event, and so I was in the middle of the pack, and all of a sudden you start hearing kids at the front of the pack screaming. And you're in the middle of the ocean, and children are screaming. You don't know why they're screaming. It was absolutely terrified. We had to get rescued by rescue boats. It was very dramatic and very frightening. I didn't get stung, but it made me aware. I lost my ocean innocence. It made me aware of there being things in the water that can hurt you. And
wow.
So as a psychologist, I know the things that I need to do. And I don't live on the Gold Coast anymore, so I'm not out in the ocean. But it's that's not where this conversation was going, Evan.
It went where it's supposed to go.
It went where it was meant to go. Yeah. So that's something I work on. That's my little Achilles heel. And so whenever I'm at the beach, I do try and just get over that little voice that says, "Yeah, but there might be something scary in there." I tell that voice to shut up.
Can you go swimming in the ocean again?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Just not super far out.
No, I can. I don't, because I'm in the water with my kids, but I can. If I want to, I certainly can. And for me, it's very much, that comes back to that consciousness, being conscious and choosing and deciding. So I will feel that fear. I have that physiological reaction now. It's anyone who's experienced a trauma of any kind, mine was very low end of the spectrum, but you have that automatic reaction now when you're exposed to something that triggers a memory of that trauma. I have that feeling, and I choose not to let that dictate terms. I choose to do the thing anyway. You have a similar approach. We do scary things or we do hard things. So I just consciously choose to do that anyway.
Learning more about the world of Dr. Tess. Here we are.
But you should see what happens when seaweed brushes against me. Yeah, it's like I've got jet propelled feet. I'm out of there.
I'm already getting some ideas. This is great.
Yeah. I'm not going swimming with you in Sydney. Let's just say that.
This is great. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, we're getting up on our time. What's my homework? This has been an interesting episode.
I want you focusing on what self-care you could ramp up. And I don't mean self-care like, bubble baths and chocolate and that sort of stuff, but just thinking about the things that can you identify any areas that aren't serving your long-term sustainability as a business owner, your long-term sustainability, your burnout prevention? So that can be attitudes, it can be behaviors, it can be lifestyle factors, it can be any number of things. The burnout prevention focus for you, because we've got this red flag of a sleep issue. That is, so think about energy, right? Think about the fuel that goes in.
Yeah, I don't see it as a red flag. I don't see the sleep thing as a red flag.
I don't care what you see it as.
Wow. Is that the Tess slap? Is it finally happening?
You just got smacked by Tess. Absolutely.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. So think about energy. You've got food is one energy source. sleep is an energy source. And, there are other variables that go on that are energy depletions as well. So, substances, nicotine, caffeine, lack of exercise. There are all sorts of things that either add to your bucket of energy or deplete your bucket of energy. Because you're not sleeping properly, even though at this stage we don't know what the cause of that is, the fact is it is happening and it is depleting your bucket of energy. It's like your bucket of energy has got a hole in it.
Still, I don't think it's a red flag, but all right. Okay.
Oh, shut up. Who's
Listen,
got the
words are
PhD
important.
here, you or me?
PH what? Come on.
So what I want you to focus on is what else is depleting your bucket of energy, and thinking about if you've got something in your car that is affecting your car's fuel efficiency, you'd want to figure out what it was and you'd want to address it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not just the sleep thing. It's just, this is giving us an opportunity to look at, for you, what burnout prevention measures you could start thinking about now. Not that I think you're on the path to burnout, but I think every entrepreneur needs to think about these things.
Okay.
And I'm using you as the scapegoat.
Oh yeah, that's fine. So here's what I'm going to do for this, because naturally my first inclination is I'm already crushing all this stuff. And as soon as I think of something, I'm going to go destroy it anyway.
Good.
But
make sure
but
you tell me what it is.
No, but that doesn't count, because that doesn't mean that's just me doing what I'm already. So I'm gonna spend some time, maybe talk to Nina too, and just try to push past that and say, okay, maybe I'm not crushing it. If I wasn't crushing it, what would be wrong right now? And see if I come up with anything.
That's a really good question. That's a really, really good question.
Because I feel like I'm crushing this.
Yeah, you are.
No, but I'm not.
Well, you are on a bunch of levels.
But this has to be the mindset that no, this sucks. I'm failing. I need to fix it.
Okay, so another question really is if you didn't address the sleep issue and you didn't fix that and get some assistance with that, what would be obvious to you how would that start to impact you over time? What would be the things that would start to crumble around you? And thinking about, well, what other scaffolds can I put in place to protect those things? What other safety nets can I put under myself? So it might be, I think about, I know that you're watchful of what you eat. I know that you exercise. I know that you aim for good sleep. But are the things that you're doing, are they all actually providing the right boost to the energy levels that you need for sustainability long term? Diet might be one thing. Even though you're healthy in what you eat, is it the right mix for you? Is it the right diet for you? That sort of thing might be something else. That's another factor to address. Because sometimes we put in place things that we think are doing us a really great service, and it might actually be counterproductive. So basically, I'm saying put everything on the table for investigation, and deciding what's actually serving me.
Right. No, I hear you.
And what's potentially not.
Yeah.
What can I do about that? Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I feel like I do this regularly. So to actually
good.
Well, but I want to do your exercise, to not do it a disservice and just brush it off. I need to okay, instead of just doing what I normally do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
the other thing I'll add to that, something that I often talk about is self-care without self-compassion is not self-care.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
1,000%.
Look at you brushing me off.
Oh, okay. No, Tess. You suck. That's terrible advice.
So that's what I mean about the attitudinal stuff. So the attitudinal stuff, if you detect anything where you're overly hard on yourself and overly critical, that would be something on the attitudinal side of things where I'd be targeting for self-care. Making sure that there's healthy self-compassion in there as well. Watching out for those unrelenting standards.
Okay, I'm going to tell Mark Drager. Tess told me to have more self-compassion. He's going to laugh so hard. This is the best. I love this song.
I know. I know.
Okay.
You should see what I've got in store for him.
I'm excited. Mark is a extraordinary human being.
He certainly is. You both are. Hey, I only talk to cool people. Luckily, I've met so many. All right. Now, as I told you, the weather is now sunny. So we've had our rainstorm. The sun is now shining. I can go and look at my potential Melbourne home. Wish me luck.
All right. You got it. I love it. Pay attention to the energy the home gives you, Jess.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Got that.
Cool. Thank you for the love. I appreciate you.
Always. Back at you. Talk to you soon. See ya.
If you want to see how Tess kicked my butt the last time, check a video right there next to me. Continue to believe. We'll see you there.